Alright, it's been ages since the last journal entry, and a lot has happened. We've had BPD Awareness Week, I've had drama with Mum, and I almost lost one of the project's collaborators in the worst possible way. So let's talk about each of these things. So BPD Awareness Week. So we've had BPD Awareness Week every year from the 1st to the 7th of October, and still it's something that outside of the networks that already know about it, it's not really reaching people. This would be a great opportunity to really get more information about BPD out there into the general community, but it seems that it's still really just moving in people who move in the circles, you know, whether they're clinicians that work with people with BPD, or maybe people who go to those clinicians for treatment or support. But the general public, even people with BPD, a lot of people don't know about BPD Awareness Week. So there's really something we need to be doing to, you know, really generate more awareness out there. I mean, I even asked my mother. Hey, Gypsy. Hey.
What's that?
I'm just recording at the moment because I want to ask you, did you know this week is BPD Awareness Week?
No. They don't let people know about BPD.
And she had no idea it was BPD Awareness Week, and she has BPD. So what about people who are undiagnosed, who have never even heard of BPD? So this is something that, you know, again, this is what I hope that this project can work towards helping, is creating more awareness in those people that are not being reached by the things that are already out there. Now with Mum, okay, so, you know, I'm doing this project about BPD. I've read a whole lot of research, I've spoken with clinicians, and yet when she's having a hard time, I feel so helpless. And that's been happening lately. She's had some kind of growth in her throat, and they're still looking at it. She just did a biopsy again today to see what it actually is. But because of it, she's actually not able to swallow solid food, and hasn't been able to for quite a while now. It's been at least a month, if not more. So she's just been not able to eat, living on anything that she can process in a blender and drink, basically. And it's really getting to her. And the thing is that with BPD, even things that may not seem really big to, you know, people who don't have it, everything's amplified. And so with her, you know, the frustration is just so much more. And honestly, I don't know what I'd be like if I couldn't eat solid food for, you know, weeks and weeks and weeks, let alone when all of those feelings are intensified and you don't necessarily have the tools to regulate those emotions. So she has been not particularly well in terms of her mental health, and one night she gave me a call and told me about that. And she told me that she's been drinking, she's been taking prescription drugs in large amounts, she's been cutting, and all of these things really, you know, she's and just basically not wanting to or being able to deal with things, and I didn't know what to say or what I could do, and I felt so helpless. And I'm thinking, wow, if I, who, you know, probably know more than the average person on BPD, well, I better, if I already have a reasonable amount of knowledge about BPD, don't know what to do, and feel helpless and unable to help her in that situation, and isolated, because you know, she's seeing a psychologist, so, and she said that she spoke with the psychologist about it, but that hasn't helped. I mean, I think what she really needs is proper DBT or other effective therapy. But then there's a whole issue of accessibility to that. So that's something I really want to be looking into this week is the accessibility and how difficult actually is it to access DBT or similar therapies, especially if you don't have a lot of cash to, splash around. But yeah, I felt really, really just ill-equipped to help her, and it was hard seeing her, and all I could do was just listen and be there for her, but I couldn't do anything to make the situation better, and that was really hard, and I'm sure a lot of other family members feel that same way. So lost my train of thought. So it's hard being a family member of someone with BPD, even if you have a reasonable amount of awareness about the thing, the disorder, the condition. I don't know what to call it, honestly. But, the good thing was that the next day she told me that after she spoke with me, she did feel better. And she said she felt better because she said, I know that I don't have to deal with this on my own. That we were there to support her. But, it's like, still, you want to do more. You want to help more, but you just feel helpless. So, yeah, so that was this last week. And then on top of that, one of the collaborators in the project, she hadn't been doing so well, so she checked herself into hospital and hoping to eventually be transferred to a facility that she's been to before that is apparently really good when she's dealing with things. She checked herself into the mental health ward of the hospital near her, and she got leave to go and get a coffee, to go to the hospital cafe and get a coffee. 15 minutes it should have been. And instead of going to the cafe, she went and jumped in her car and drove to a train station, and she was planning to jump in front of a train and end her life. And she told me after I met her this week, and she told me that she actually heard the announcement that an express train was going to be running through the station. And those announcements usually come 2 minutes before the train comes. So she was 2 minutes away from ending her life. And she just looked across and around her at the other people on the platform, and she saw an elderly couple, and she thought about them, that they would have to witness that, and they would have to deal with having witnessed somebody jumping in front of a train, and how tragic that would be for them, how it would affect them. And that was actually what convinced her to not go through with it. She jumped in the car, went back to the hospital. And she said the thing that made her really mad was that, or disappointed perhaps, was that when she got back, after all of this time, it was as if nothing had actually happened. And they're just like, oh, did you enjoy your coffee? And so she felt that, there wasn't really a good level of care for the patients, that maybe all the attention goes to the really severe cases, the people that require a lot of, help, a lot of attention. If people are lucid and can communicate clearly and seem maybe on the outside to be a little more together, that maybe they don't get as much care or attention that they may actually need. But anyway, she is now in that other facility, so I'm going to be visiting her later in the week. But yeah, it just shows how easily it can all end. And it's actually, it's not the first time that somebody on one of my projects has either been close to attempting or actually attempted suicide. And so I do wonder also about the impact on clinicians who are working with people with BPD. You try to be detached, I'm sure, and not get too involved, But it must be really hard for them when there's a 10% chance that somebody with BPD is going to die by taking their own life. So it must be hard for clinicians as well, and I do hope to speak with some clinicians during this project as well to get their side of things and their views, and hopefully I can actually speak with some GPs. That would be even more interesting, because they're not necessarily feeling as equipped to deal with people with BPD, and they may have stigmatizing attitudes. I'm not sure. It will be interesting to get some to speak with some GPs. But anyway, still meeting with people. I'm getting a little bit more, I guess, learning to not be quite so relaxed and loose with things. So now I find that when I meet with somebody, I'm setting a date when I'll say, okay, well, can we touch base again on a certain date, so that we've got this time to work to, because I'm finding that this kind of nebulous nature of the project at the moment, I think a bit more structure is good. So I'm sort of beginning to work that into how I'm interacting with the collaborators, so that everything's a bit clearer for them also, and that they have goals and time, deadlines for reaching a certain stage with the things that they're working on. And there's some interesting ideas. One person that I met with yesterday is looking at doing a zine style thing with some photos that she's going to take with a disposable camera, and then relate her experience also to the 9 criteria for BPD. Another one is using artwork, which I'm going to actually see tomorrow. I'm going to see some of her artworks, and we'll work out how we can use those. So some really interesting things happening, and so things are moving, and also possibly new collaborators coming in, but we'll see what happens. I did contact one who, as often happens, was quite keen at the beginning, but has kind of fallen silent. So I'm gonna contact her actually after making this video to see if she's still keen or not, and see where she's at. But that's basically where things are at the moment. Within about a month, I'm hoping to really start pulling together all of the input from the different collaborators, and we're going to see about how to work on things together. Although I'm finding that it's working better to just work with each individual collaborator and collaborate with them between the two of us, rather than trying to sort of involve all of the collaborators all at the same time and have people kind of interconnected and sort of networking and talking with each other, because I don't think that most people are really necessarily wanting to be at that level of involvement. So that's fine. So we'll work with the way that it's going to work best for the people involved. And that's the thing, that I'm always trying to design it collaboratively. Even the design about how we approach things, I'm trying to keep that as collaborative as I can, so that it's fitting with each of the collaborators' needs and what suits them and what's going to work best for them. Alright, anyway, that's going to be it for now. I'll try and be a little more frequent with the updates from now on, with the journal entries, and so that they'll be shorter and less rambly, and hopefully closer to the time that things are actually happening. Yeah, so that's it for now.